Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I almost called back this week and I went, after tonight, you're probably gonna want a different one story.
Yeah.
So we'll get together. Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's just, you left a message, you said call me back to this number, and I tried, it was like 0001, it was all weird. Yeah, I don't know why, it was bizarre. It just didn't show up.
From my office.
Yeah, maybe that's what it should. Yeah, no worries.
Forgot I got the screen.
I like the new seal on there too.
I don't know how I did this, but I broke my camera lens.
Oh, no.
I don't even.
So when you take a picture, does it show a crack?
No, I didn't see one, but I think I'm gonna see if I can get it fixed, because you can feel it, it's loose. I looked at the camera to see, and I didn't see anything, but that doesn't mean that once you take it, it's not gonna show.
Might be the zoom, you know, like
Yeah.
it might be only if you were zooming in and would use it.
You ready?
Hello.
I heard.
I don't remember a dozen times. I just got had this issue at one point too.
It's not supposed to be here. It's a little late.
We'll
Can
just
you not connect it?
look like we're, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Can you not connect it?
No, I can't.
Can you give them permission?
Jill did. I've had the password, I've been connected before, but it's,
Did it drop?
yeah, like my phone and my iPad both.
It's the same.
I think it is. I know I got it saved, but it's saved it, just won't connect.
The last time when it changed, I had to
You had to
forget the whole network. and
That's still the
then
password there?
No,
Oh, they changed it.
yeah. That's capital. That. And
Hi, Greg.
202. Oh, good.
Just,
At sign.
okay. That would be why.
Yeah, you got the wrong one. Read that. Actually, you know what? Never mind. I think you just asked me to let you.
Do it again. This all caps.
Yeah.
That'll do it. Thank you.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call.
Andrew,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Chad, no. Session,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes. Scott just pulled up.
At this time, I'd like to recognize any visitors. Seeing as none, we'll move to the financial report.
Fund balances are down 5.14% from last year, with a net fund balance of $20,052,965.29. Operating funds, decrease of 5.78% over last year, with a net total of $18,110,300.81. Revenues in the Ed Fund, local are $494,348.21. State, $21,556.79, and federal, $228,678 or $73.87. Expenses are listed out in your packet. The over 5,000, with the exception of the credit card, it was not ready in time for this meeting. It'll be at the next one. Recommendations would be to reimburse the impressed account in the amount of $749.91, and then the payment of bills of $1,121,918.02.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions regarding the financial report? There being none, I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the financial report to reimburse the impressed account in the amount of $749.91 and the payment of bills in the amount of $1,121,918.02.
Motion.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Andrew. Roll call.
Scott,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Tricia,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. In your packet, you'll have minutes from the last meeting, the cafeteria report. There are no student teachers. Actually, there's no cafeteria report, just kidding. Fundraisers are enclosed. EHS Band is going to conduct 3 different fundraisers to raise funds for their band trip. And the football and basketball cheerleaders are going to hold a cheerleading clinic. I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Desha,
I'll second it.
second by Jane. Roll call.
Andrew,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Tricia,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
We've received the following correspondence. Unit 40 School Board and Board of Education staff, I'm extremely grateful for all of your support after the passing of my dad. I find comfort in knowing that the Unit 40 family is thinking of me and my family during this difficult time. I sincerely appreciate all of your thoughts and prayers. Todd and the family of Bob Schutte. Dear Unit 40 Board and staff, during a time like this, we learn how much our friends and relatives really mean to us. Your expression of sympathy will always be treasured. Brad Waldoff and family, and that's the passing of his dad. Board of Education, thank you for the beautiful floor arrangement card and words of encouragement. I enjoyed looking at them while I recovered from surgery. Thank you, Elsie Baker. And Board Administration and staff, thank you for the beautiful plant in memory of my dad, Angie Byers. Your kind expression of sympathy and friendship will always remain in our memories. Thank you for your thoughtfulness, the family of Dave Steele. Okay, we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
We have a foundation report, part of this foundation report, it's enclosed. Any questions? Anybody on that? Technology update, take one of these, pass one around. This is an update from Emily. I asked her to put together. I think there's enough there for me, now we'll get you your extras. I'm not gonna go through it all, there's several items there, I'm assuming, it's show up in the paper and maybe on the radio station as well, so the biggest things in my opinion right now after what we experienced last year are teachers' devices, and the student devices with cybersecurity information, which is the top 3 items. Teacher devices, new desktops at EHS, Southside, board office, and transportation. Still working to make sure people have the software they need on the machines, but I would say we're probably, I don't know, 90% there, if not better. I know when we got student devices, and we said that they passed out the student devices to juniors and seniors today. That was a welcome sight back in their hands. All devices were touched this summer, and made sure we're in good shape for us to be able to distribute them this year. Students 1st through 5th grade will be given an individualized password. Students 6th through 12th grade will create their own passwords. You know, and then talk a little bit about the cybersecurity side of things. You got to keep in mind, we have really amped things up more than where they obviously were this time last year. So we're pretty confident going into the school year that we're in the driver's seat with the technology side of that. Any questions, comments, or concerns, anything you've heard district-wide? Okay. Next one would be the Little Hearts Daycare. There was an update as well to pass around. As you'll see over here, we are obviously watching this with a fine-tooth comb, with it being a brand new program to our district. At this point, monthly budget review occurred last Friday. The current budget is in the black. We'll not get to see typical month's budget until September because we were not operating at full capacity until August 21st when all the teachers' days returned. Once again, you need to understand that the system is set up, the program is set up to where our students, our teachers, or our staffs, students are able to attend this daycare. Obviously, they're charged the same thing everybody else is, but at the same time, those students might not need the daycare and services over the summer, and we are not charging our staff for when they are not at that daycare, which is different than what happens at a lot of daycares. We did receive a Smart Start grant that provides us $47,000 every 3 months, resulting in $188,000 of revenue. You can see on there too, we currently have 22 children, Unit 40 staff enrolled with Little Hearts. There are 5 children who are on the wait list. One is a temporary placement, one's a part-time placement, the other 3 are not born yet. Babies continue to be the most difficult place. There is a larger than that waiting list with counting the community, because we still are offering that opportunity for the community to get on the wait list. If we have openings, we're going to fill those openings, as we stated from the get-go. We have 3 openings in the preschool classrooms currently. Those will probably be filled as the preschool screenings on September 13th. That's the overflow that cannot be placed at each side. We have a huge overflow of kids wanting into some of these programs, which is a great problem, but they don't get in. I'm not sure what they will be doing. We're still waiting to hear about the Preschool for All grant. The application has been submitted. The determination of that grant is expected about October 3rd. We were hoping that we would hear something about that already, and obviously we have not. That's a game changer once that takes place, especially from an economic standpoint, because that puts children that are in that category that they will not be charged to attend, because the Preschool for All grant absorbs the expense of the program. And then it will also absorb the cost for us for a couple of staff members down there, 2 to 4 staff members. Again, we don't have it on this memo, but it's probably somewhere between $250,000 to $400,000 savings for the school district in that program. If that goes through, we fully anticipate that it will. Hopefully we'll hear something as she stated by October 3rd. Additional grant has been submitted through the Cobalt Foundation for all new technology, software support, and security cameras. The request totaled $11,000. The determination of the grant is expected in the next few months. I will just tell you right now, it is really neat to see this daycare in operation right now, doing exactly what we planned it to do. Honestly, I think it's probably housing more of our staff than what we anticipated out of the gate that we would be able to for this first year. But it's exciting. You see Jennifer Fox, please tell her great job, because she's learning at every end right now, because she is the one writing a couple of these grants, hiring the employees and working on the budget, and trying to make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed, so. Exciting times for us,
Could I interject on that?
absolutely.
Andy and I talked earlier today, and I think that would be a good time for the board to tour the daycare. So before the September meeting, we can either do one of two things: meet at the daycare at 5:30, do a tour, and then come here for the meeting, or we meet at the daycare at 6 and postpone the meeting until 6:30. So just kind of your thoughts, just so we can all go through it together and, see what kind of good things are going on down there.
Need to wait till 5:30 because we still have staff and students around, but after that, won't take us long. It's not a real big facility.
Right, and, I mean, it's different when there aren't children there.
Right.
So, I don't think they want all 8 of us, 7 of us going through there. When they aren't fully in action, but I'm sure they could accommodate you one at a time if you call ahead.
Yes.
So, yeah, so think about that and what works with your schedule before the September board meeting.
And keep in mind too, we'll have a hearing at that board meeting for the budget.
Oh, budget hearing, okay.
Again, we'll schedule plenty of time over there and then here.
So we'll need to advertise that right away, correct?
I
So,
will, if we make any changes to the time.
what are your thoughts? 5:30 at the,
So this trial would definitely be on the day of the meeting. Yeah, then I would see the board.
does that work for everyone? I mean, if you can, you can. So we'll plan to meet at the, Little Hearts daycare at 5:30, and then we'll come here for a meeting at 6. Perfect.
I'll also say, school year's up and running. Transportation has been chaotic, as it always is, right out the gate. Our transportation department has done an incredible job. Our technology department's done an incredible job of working with the transportation department. We've had some kinks to work out because we have a new software program in play. That's still, it's going to be a learning curve throughout the course of the year. Once we have it up and running, there are some bells and whistles on that I really think people are going to like. Being able to tell exactly what time their child's going to be dropped off, on some sporting trips and things of that nature. You'll be able to know by just looking at the app when your child will be back in town, some of those kind of things. So some good things going there, and we will have devices in the buses for substitute bus drivers. They've got everything set up. The program's not set up to where the device can go into the bus just yet, but the guts to it, the frame and things like that, that the device sets in is ready to go. Hopefully this fall we'll be able to get that up and running, because it's as simple as the route's programmed in, Greg gets on the bus, he pushes go, it says drop Andy Johnson off at the Dairy Queen, it says drop Andrew Malton off at Lucia's, it tells Steve Martin at railroad tracks, wherever we need to send somebody.
I don't know, maybe that was you that was done. You drive this year?
Well, once I did.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got to drive a cross country meet already. But no, you are correct, it's gonna help me if I'm on that. I don't know the routes very well. But I commend our folks for getting out and great start. Our teachers, is we have one in the room with us, those first few days and first few weeks are always a little chaotic, a little crazy, getting back to the norm. I talked to some people this summer that maybe we should just go year round, and I think probably most people probably feel we ought to just keep not going year round, we'll get through those humps and going down the road with it. I think we're off to a great start. I heard from some people that think, after 25, 30 years in the business, this has been one of the best starts that they've seen yet. So knock on wood, we keep going in that direction. That's it for
Good deal.
my reports.
Okay, moving on to new business. The first item is the intergovernmental agreement with the Effingham Library. There's really no action here, but just a little bit of background. The IGA provides a nice benefit to almost 60% of our employees who live in a location without public library access and thus do not have a library card. This will be year 3 with this agreement. Both parties feel it's beneficial and would like to continue it. The remaining 40% of our employees have access to the public library because they probably live in the city limits. Employees who live in the Effingham city limits already have access to a library card. Employees who live in another area with a public library has access to that public library card. So, employees, if you don't have a library card, yep, head to the library and get it. The next item on the agenda is the FY24 tentative budget. I'll turn that over to Kelsey.
Okay, in your packet, you find the proposed tentative budget. I'll just run through the funds and kind of talk about what we have proposed in this tentative budget. In the education fund, we're looking at a deficit of $712,516. We have added some contingency funds, and for some unforeseen issues, discretionary spending will be closely monitored. Just some highlights, some things that are included in this budget are increased salaries for both certified and non-certified staff, the addition of 5 new staff members, the textbook adoption, and increased operating costs. If all expense lines are spent to 100%, we're looking at an ending fund balance of $12,481,712, and that would be at the end of this fiscal year. The O&M fund is estimated to have a deficit of $239,584. We've built in contingency funds in this tentative budget to cover issues that may arise every year. Those things, some of the major items contributing to this fund are salary increases, the in-tech control update, this outside renovation, the ELC parking lot, and then increased operating costs. The estimated O&M fund balance is $1,008,194. Looking at the transportation fund, it is estimated the fund will have a deficit of $17,961, which includes the lease of 10 buses, 1 special education bus, and then the purchase of 2 vans, 1 maintenance truck, and 1 car. The fund balance at the end of the fiscal year is anticipated to be $3,915,240. The estimated working cash fund will show an increase of $367,951 with an ending fund balance of $2,454,896. It's estimated that the bond and interest fund will show an increase of $1,000, causing an estimated ending fund balance of $165,207. Looking at municipal retirement, we're looking at a decrease of $471,953, causing an estimated ending fund balance of $346,944. Contributing to this loss is the increase of non-certified staff. Looking at toward, we're showing a deficit in this tentative budget of $449,243, causing an estimated fund balance of $331,009. This deficit is related to the implementation of the new risk management plan, and is estimated that HLS fund will show a loss of $229,742, causing an estimated ending fund balance of $358,964. Some of the things contributing to this loss are the Southside windows and doors, which were $461,880, and then the asbestos abatement at Southside for $13,800.
Questions on the budget? Absolutely.
What, I don't need names, but which staff members are involved in the O&M? Who comes out of there, or is that custodial or?
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Other questions? We're anticipating some less money on the funding side that will play into some of this deficit that's showing. We
budgeted the same for some PBRT this year as we did last year. Last year, we actually received a lot more, but we've been told that that's not going to happen again this year. Not anticipating that, so we left it down. That doesn't really attribute much to the decrease. A few things that do contribute to the decrease are we are now a tier 3 rather than a tier 2 school when it comes to the evidence-based funding. And what that basically means is when there is new tier money put into the system to help get to equitable funding throughout the state, regardless of the levels of the school districts. You have tier 1, 2, 3, and 4, which you've probably been familiar with. I'll use examples of a tier 1 school. No, really, you've hard to find some tier 1 schools right now, probably. Tier 2, we were obviously in the tier 2. A tier 3 school, tier 4 schools, in my opinion, are probably your Adlai Stevenson and Chicago, your Barringtons, your areas up there that really, to be honest, have some lucrative businesses that hopefully they have, the opportunity to spend $20,000 on a student when we're spending, $10,000 or whatever ours is at the time being. So where it's going to hurt us a little bit because we are jumping to tier 3 is we are losing a little bit of that tier money. And really, there's nothing you can do about it. It's kind of a good thing because it's, the taxpayers don't like it, and I'm the taxpayer too. You're more dependent upon your local area rather than the state and federal government. But I would have to think, I would say this politically correct, I would rather depend on my local area than the state or government. So
It's just interesting that we, this year, started the free lunch program for district-wide, and then we move up a tier also.
correct.
Seems counter to what we would think.
Correct.
And what factors in again to the tiers?
The tiers of the,
Okay, the
there's
possible.
about 24 different elements that were built into the evidence-based funding components, basically, to comprise how that formula works to be able to equate to provide areas. I think that one of the biggest things that you have to remember is we did have a TIF drop in this community, so there is revenue coming in from the tax base there. That once that's hitting the books, which is this year, then your revenue coming in, and if you've got enough local revenue, then you don't need as much state revenue, which again makes sense. It's probably the most logical way for years this has been done. But it has to do with, your low income rate, it has to do with the amount of money that we have from the local area. Those are some of the bigger things that play into it. Declining enrollment, that hurts a little bit when we are, I think. I didn't run the numbers yet because we're still pretty early. I'd rather wait, to the next board meeting and kind of report out where we're at on the enrollment side. We do have a special group that has escalated in this district that's serving the English as a second language group of folks that we've got. We're putting a lot of efforts in that direction to be able to meet the needs of the influx that we've experienced in that area. So we'll continue to do that. Personally, I don't think there's anything alarming with our budget right now. I will tell you that we can't sustain what we're doing right now every year. $1 million deficit's going to put you in the hole in 20 years. It's a long time out, but we don't have any plans in this district of even finishing the year at the deficit. So we're going to try to work on some things and see if we can do some things to cut back on those areas a little bit. But you also look, when you take a look, we spent $600,000 on a textbook adoption. Okay, you want us to stop buying textbooks? No, we've got to do that. So again, it goes back to, that's a $600,000 expenditure that we didn't have last year.
If you're going up in tiers and you're getting less money from the state and federal government, are they assuming you're getting more money from the city?
more from local. Yes.
But are we? Because it should offset, right?
Probably. Kind of. It doesn't equate. It'll never equate. But, yeah, there's a chance. But again, we don't know right now. This is all speculation because of the tax base comes from our levy that we estimated back in the fall and we would receive this year, right? So you don't know until you get through the year, which, I try to tell people all the time too, you don't forget, the budget is a tool, okay? It's not like our houses. We know pretty well what we're gonna spend at our house every year. If you don't have it, you don't spend it for the most part. And we kind of try to operate the same way, but we don't really know for sure what the revenue's gonna be. Transportation, great example is transportation. We get 4 transportation payments a year, supposed to. We generally are getting 3. They're giving you the 4th one after July 1st. And they tell everybody you got your 4th payment, but you didn't get it in that fiscal year. And to us, I don't know what it's off the top of my head, it's probably $450,000 payment by the time you take special ed and regular transportation bills. That's a pretty big fluctuation in your budget. And we don't control it. One year may get 4, I think it's been a long time since we got 4 in the same year. There were a year or 2 where we got 2. You always get them, but you get them the next year. And then they carry the next year's over. So those are the pieces that are so difficult when you start talking about, you could control your expenditures to a certain degree, but we don't get to control the revenue. But we'll keep an eye on it. You would like to hope at the end of the year we finish out, just as you said, that should. We got more from the local level, and they didn't give us as much from the state or federal government, so we win. We'll see if that happens. Other questions about the budget? Comments, thoughts? Nice job, Mrs. Baker.
Okay, any other questions? These numbers are expected to change as not all information is available at the time. The tentative budget will be on public review for 30 days, and we'll have a hearing and adoption at the September board meeting. So there'll be a separate thing, just like we had for the budget, amended budget. Okay, so looking for a motion and second to approve the FY24 tentative budget resolution.
Motion.
Motion by Andrew,
Second.
second by Steve. Roll call.
Jill?
Yes.
Jane, yes. Tricia?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval to seek bids and or prices on used vans and one car / crossover. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. We have 6 vans in the district. 4 vans serve, the newest 4 vans in our district serve as use in the transportation department for, we've got to take some kiddos to Mattoon or somewhere, just different places like that. Plus our staff, if they're going to professional development conferences and things of that nature. Those 4 are over here. The 2 vans that have the most mileage of the 6 are always in the driver's ed in rotation because they stay in town per se. Okay, so if we had a problem sometime, we would be able to hear. So what we're doing is we're going to take 2 of these and move them down and get rid of the 2 driver's ed vans and buy 2 new ones. So we're back into here. You bought 2 new ones last year. You'll buy 2 new ones this year. Buy 4 that are less than 2 years old, And then you'll have two over here that probably are 3 or 4 years old. And then another year or two, we will rotate out another two, and we'll get back in the same situation where we're trying to keep those vans under warranty if we can keep them under warranty. Unfortunately, we've probably got a couple, I think the two that the drivers at are out of warranty right now, approximately 6 years old. So that's the rotation on how it works, as I was told 30 minutes ago. So that helps you understand why we're doing what we do. We see state bids on those, which is what we're asking for here, is we would like to see the bids for, actually, no, let me rephrase that. We want your permission because we ran into a problem last year with seeking the state bid, and I think Taylorville, Rob Reddings got it, and ended up not being able to get them. So then we went back, honestly, we went out to Northside Ford, and we said, what can you do, Mark, on the used side? Mark went and found us two great used ones, I think they were maybe 6,000 or 8,000 miles on them, within the price range in which we were looking at, and we went that direction. We would like to go to Mark again, seek his advice on that, and see if we can't do that. If for some reason we can't find those, then we would seek bids on brand new ones, and that's why I'm asking you to allow us to do either or, depending on what we run into. Keeping us in the same ballpark as where we were at last year. And then the car is as they call it, Aaron Spicer calls it Air Force One. Not really like that, but that was Aaron's
And that,
comment behind it.
does that car pretty much stay local?
That car goes about anywhere, well, it'll get to Springfield, it'll go to Springfield with me, it'll go to, Collinsville, it'll go, no, not like to Chicago, no, go to Chicago. I mean, it gets out of town.
Okay.
But it's, and I talked to the board when I came on about this, and I told you I'd drive that thing all the way to retirement, and I can't. The reason it's come up is Troy Kyle keeps a good hold on all of our vehicles, likes things to be under warranty. So if something happens, we want to keep driving it. I got no problem taking this off the list, not keep driving. It probably values more right now on a trade-in than it would 5 years, 4 years from now. When it's got 100,000+ miles on the road instead of 70. So, and I stated that if we were going to replace it, I wouldn't mind looking at something like a crossover or something like that to get more comfortably seated for administrators or whatever we're traveling in. So, we want to,
The two vans that we're getting rid of, you trade them into whether it be a bid or a used bid or just sell them outright.
it depends on the situation, depends on what they'll give us. A lot of times we'll price it and might sell them ourselves. I think last year, it seems like we traded them in.
Who's responsible for that?
And, I mean, this is just approval to seek the bids at the prices. It doesn't mean that we have to take action once we get those bids and prices back.
Correct.
So are there any other items for discussion on that, questions?
And I think probably new ones are about the same as used right now, honestly. I mean, the market's still so topsy-turvy in that regard.
Just hard to get the new ones, which is
Yeah.
what we ran into last year.
I gotcha. Okay.
And we bid them, it's probably not gonna be somebody local.
Yeah.
If we go used, we're gonna try to stay local.
We should try to stay local.
Worked last year, worked very well.
And they might be able to find us new at the bid price as well, right?
Pretty close to doing those, again, 6,000 miles on it last year, I think. That's pretty good.
Looking for a motion and a second to approve for the district to seek bids for new vans or prices for used vans and 2 used vans and 1 car or crossover.
I'll make it.
Motion by Jane. Second by Desha, roll call.
Jane, yes. Desha?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of board committees and the board members assigned to those committees. The 23, for 2 years, these are 2 years, facilities and transportation. We also are placing one board member as an alternate. So we're gonna try to schedule these meetings on regular intervals that Mr. Johnson will maybe come up with a rotation on those. If you cannot attend that meeting, we will try to work around everyone's schedule for sure. If you cannot attend that meeting, then contact your alternate for that committee first. And then we can always, ask for any other board members to be in attendance. But for facilities and transportation, I have Desha and Jane, and Chad as an alternate. The tech committee is Scott and Desha with Andrew as an alternate. A curriculum would be myself and Andrew with Jane as an alternate. And HR/athletics is Steve and Chad with Scott as an alternate. Anybody have any questions? So I'm looking for a motion, a second, to approve committees and board members to each committee for the 23-24 and 24-25 school years as listed above.
Motion.
Motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Desha, roll call.
Desha,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the ISD governing board representative for Unit 40. Jane, I do sincerely apologize. I just noticed this afternoon. Are you wanting to be our representative again?
Yes, she is.
For IASB governing board, which one? I need,
So that's,
That's one where they are.
Yeah.
it is, yeah, because I'm going tomorrow night anyway.
I was gonna say it was a big
you're playing that one, right? Yeah. We have an alternate, okay. So, Jane has been acting as that representative. Her responsibilities is to alert members regarding events and encouraging participation, and carry district concerns to the division meetings and leadership, and to report division meeting activity and actions to the board. So Jane, if you're accepting your nomination, I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve Jane Willenberg to represent the Unit 40, Effingham Unit District 40 on the IASB governing board for the 23-24 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Desha, second by, who was that? Scott? Roll call.
Scott,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Desha,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
And on that note, Mr. Johnson and I were contacted by our, what do you call him, the division, what is his title? Perry. He would like Effingham to host the division meeting in the fall.
In October.
So you got a postcard in the mail a couple days ago. I was kind of looking at that, I was like, they kind of guessed and got those postcards printed that fast? So I think they assumed we were gonna do it.
I think Gene and I volunteered.
So we just
Yeah.
confirmed.
Yes.
So we will be hosting the division meeting on October 17th. I think it'd be nice, usually we just have one or two of us go to the division meeting, but since it's here, mark your calendars and please
Be nice to see all of
please
you.
try to be in attendance. We'll host it at one of our buildings, there'll be dinner, and then there'll be.
Breakout sessions and stuff's what they're talking about. Have you ever been to one that all 7 board members
Mm-mm.
from a district were there?
No.
I mean,
But
that'd be pretty.
it's kind of nice because it's like bringing the Triple I conference in Chicago here for just one quick meeting. So put that one on your calendar.
Is that night meeting? An evening meeting?
We're at 6:30, I think, so.
All right, so moving on to the approval of the facility research proposal. I'm just reading directly from the agenda here. How do you say that, Clio, or do you?
I call it Clio.
Clio,
I don't know what it's.
Yeah, that's what it is.
okay, Clio Master Plan Modeling Software Program. will provide a comparative analysis of various long-range facility planning. This is an action item recently approved by our strategic plan. And one of the goals in the strategic plan is to centrally locate a pre-K through 5 or kindergarten through 5 facility. So this will help in that research, and you can expand on this if you'd like. Possible locations, possible sizes of buildings. Is there anything else that you would add to that?
It's an $8,500 expenditure that the district would pay towards BLDD architects. They have a software program, which is the Clio. And that program will basically collect data from the district, size of classrooms and buildings, and if we're going to consolidate some buildings, which has been talked about from my understanding in this district for years, this would be giving us an opportunity to do some research to see if that is something that should be sought, and if so, what would be the best direction to take on making that move? Is that potentially to build on some current buildings? Is it to build a standalone building? Maybe it comes back, which I doubt, that it says to leave all 3 or 4 buildings set alone and spread your people out like we have them spread out and things like that. So I think it's the first step to sending us down a road to match what came out of the strategic plan process that started last fall in this school district with Dr. Bowles and Dr. White and lots of stakeholders. As Jim stated, 2 of our action items on the facility part of the strategic plan that was put in place was to research possible locations, and then of course the other one was to prepare estimated costs per square foot, and to have all that in place before December 31st. Now, granted, please understand that would be very high level estimates. It's not going to be drilled down to how much are we spending on a toilet, how much of things of that nature. So it's going to be a ballpark, $400 square foot or whatever's the market at the time for what we would need to replace it. You two jump in because you were in the meeting with me. What else?
Yeah, it was just a neat tool that can figure out things that we've never been able to, like if we consolidate, what kind of expenses would that save on as far as the efficiency of the building, the efficiency of staff, things like that. So.
Yeah, they look at things that we normally wouldn't look at, or wouldn't think to look at.
Okay.
It'll help us with long-range planning. There's lots and lots of material here that you go through 7 benefits of long. It talks about what happens when you look at long-term planning. District has done a great job, in my opinion, coming in and not being from here and not being involved of utilizing taxpayer money to renovate, get lots of new roofs. There's going to be some really good information coming from this research that says already, you've done some great things here that are efficient and moving the needle in the right direction. So,
and we talked about too, whether we keep with the buildings we have and the grade doing well,
right.
or we decide to move on, it still was worthwhile because this is planning. If we're going to do a big project like this, it could take 10 years.
Right.
So we would have these buildings that are up to date that we can still use, that we still will use.
Right.
And they needed to get that big there.
How do they collect the data? I'm just curious.
They come on site
Yes, sir.
and they talk to,
Talk to our principals, talk to the business office. They're going to want to know how many people are working in each building, what are they doing from an efficiency standpoint.
Let me get a copy of our floor plans or building
but
plans.
I meant to say though is they get really involved with Todd though too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Grounds.
They'll be showing around the buildings and be able to talk to whoever.
But they're doing it on that, they base it on Long's going under this, correct?
That's correct. All right, it says how does it work? Number 1, life cycle costs. How much does it cost to implement and operate? Number 2, functional performance. How well does your facility function currently? And then number 3, cost and benefit analysis. The CLEO provides an objective comparison, adding clarity to the decision-making process. To me, I was only in one of the districts that did a building project in my career so far, and we didn't have this. I would have loved to have this. I think it goes more extensive and more thorough than, no offense to your architects that take care of your district already, because we have architects already. And I'm not asking at this point, our firm architects that currently have been working with this district, I wanted an outside view to come in and say, what are you seeing that maybe we're not, and go from there. You guys want some of this material, the paper? Oh, sure. We've got some stuff here that you can put in there. I'll be fine with this. So the thought process on this right now is if you approved it tonight, we would probably be looking at coming back in here, hopefully by the end of the year, if not sooner, with ideas of the results from that CLEO survey or CLEO information. Then I think the board needs to make some decisions, and we need to take a look at, after that information would come, what's the next steps for this district in order to meet the strategic goals and objectives that have been set by strategic planning folks. So I think it aligns very much so with what we've already laid in place. And it's ironic, a lot of people probably read all these things, some of them in the room that know me real well, probably would say, you had all these things planned out. I didn't. I didn't know the CLEO part existed back when we started talking last fall about researching projects, and the guy showed up here this summer and said, hey, we've got a software program that's not real expensive compared to what it would cost you to build. How about giving this a shot? And I brought it to the facility committee. We met last week or week before last with that group, and I think they're pretty good. This group, just so you know, BLTD, just did Alney's, some kind of early learning center at all. So, anyway, I would recommend it because I think it's a first step that matches our strategic plan, and it gives us to follow the vision and the mission of this district, which is taking a look at what's going to happen in the future.
I think they said they were working on a big project now at Edwardsville.
Oh, okay.
I thought they said something of Metro East.
Honestly, for that type of research, and what we've expended, on consultants in the past few years, 8,500 is cheap, very,
Compared.
pretty well insignificant. Okay. And the Facilities and Transportation Committee has endorsed this proposal. So I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the BLDD proposal for $8,500. Motion by Desha,
I'll second it.
second by Jane, roll call.
Andrew,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Desha,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Okay. The first reading for changes to board policy 8:30. No actions needed tonight. This would just be to amend board policy 8:30, community relations / visitors to and conduct on school property. So the proposal reads as such: unless specifically permitted by state law, possess a weapon or any object that can reasonably be considered a weapon or looks like a weapon or any dangerous device. And added to this would be an employee under contract with the school district may carry a concealed firearm as recognized by and provided they meet the qualifications under the Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act, or LEOSA, applicable Illinois law and administrative rules, and any other requirements of the school district. So I would assume that before this is weapons are prohibited
That's correct.
unless specifically permitted by state law.
Correct.
So this is just a reading of policy, and then next meeting, we would approve the changes.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion and a second to enter into closed session. We would adjourn to closed session for, one, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district. Second item is collective negotiated matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. And the next one is the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the district. The fourth item is security procedures, school building safety and security, and the use of personnel and equipment to respond to an actual, a threatened, or reasonably potential danger to the safety of employees, students, staff, and the public or property. And the last thing for closed session would be involving litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed or is impending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting. I need a motion and a second to adjourn to closed session.
Motion.
Motion by Andrew,
Second.
second by Steve, roll call.
Jill,
Yes?
Jane, yes, Chad, no, Gretchen, Steve,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Andrew.
Yes.
So we will go our action, there is some action afterwards, as you've probably seen. Also, just food for thought, you probably put the